Don't look for VLookup, it's old, it's outdated, use XLookup instead. And honestly, it's super easy to use. Just think of it like a grocery store. You have to know what aisle to go on and then what item to get. Now I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use XLookup. The first way is finding an exact match, and you'll use this one the most. So we'll type equals XLookup in cell B2, and then we need our search key. We'll put a comma, and then we need our lookup range, and that will be every single employee that is down there in the bottom below. Going back to our grocery store analogy, you can think of the search key as the aisle you're going to look for, and then the lookup range as every single aisle that exists. So now the system knows where to look up, so after a comma, we need to put the result range. In this case, we want to see the quantity sold, so we'll select the entire data range for quantity sold. And you can think of this as which item you want to grab from the aisle that you told it to go to. So now it's all set up, so you can see that John Smith sold 66 units, and you can confirm that below if you want to. And if we change the name to a different employee, say Robert Hall, you can see that he sold 40 units. But all this is done automatically because the formula is doing the work for you. So that's how to find an exact match. Now what if we want to find a relative match? For example, we want to look at the total that each person sold and look up how much commissions they should earn. Now unless they fall on the exact number, it's not going to be an exact match, so we need to use a relative match instead. So we'll do equals XLookup, we'll select the total, we'll put a comma, and then we'll select the total from the grid, put a comma, and then we'll select the commissions from the grid. Now when we drag the formula down to apply it to the rest of the rows, we don't want the lookup range and the result range to move. So we need to anchor those in with $signs. And there's 2 ways to do this. One, you can click on the range and click F4, and that will add the $signs to everything. Or you can type it in manually before each column and before each row. Now if I press enter, you're going to see it in A, and that's because there are no exact matches, so nothing's popping up. And we want to look it up based off of a range. So I'm going to go back into the formula, and I'll put comma, comma, and that means it'll be blank if there is no result, and then I'll put a -1. And what this will do is it will look up the value, and it will find whatever's closest but less than the value, and it will return whatever is next to it. So since 990 is less than 1000, it will fall to the commissions for 750 instead. Now the last way to use XLookup is very similar to the first way, but this time instead of returning one range at a time, we're going to return multiple ranges at once. So in cell B2, we're going to type equals XLookup, we'll select cell A2, and after a comma, once again we need to select the lookup range, we'll put a comma, then this time instead of selecting one return range, we're going to select multiple. So I'm going to select C5 through C79. And the biggest thing to remember is that the number of rows in the lookup range has to match the number of rows in the return range for it to work. Now one important thing to highlight is that the lookup is going to stop whenever it hits the first match. So as you can see, a lot of these names repeat. So for example, if I go down here to David Wilson, put that in our lookup, it's not going to return the amount in row 24. And that's because the lookup already executed on row 7. So as you can see, we have the numbers listed for row 7 instead. So if you have duplicates that have to be there, you may need to be strategic about what order you have the data in. So that's 3 different ways to use XLookup, and it's way easier to use than VLookup. If you like this video, like and subscribe for more.